Konnichiwa, my friend, and welcome to WDW Radio Live. I am Lou Mangello. It is Wednesday, April 9th, 2025. If you are watching live, thank you so very much for being here. And if you're watching on the replay, be sure to join us every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern here on Facebook as well as on YouTube. And be sure to turn on notifications because you never know when else and from where else I might be going live. We will get to that soon. Thank you again for being here. It has been a great week. I am very excited for what is coming up next week. I want to talk tonight about, let's talk about this week's podcast. Let's talk about the Disney Destiny and Disneyland and Disney Sea Tokyo edition, which is coming up next week. It's why I said konnichiwa. It's why, as I'm thinking about it now, the smile is on my face. And if you are watching for the very first time, please let me know where you are watching from and what is your favorite overall? You can actually, anybody can answer this. What is your overall favorite Disney park anywhere around the world, whether it's one of the 4 parks in Walt Disney World, the 2 in Disneyland, or any of the overseas parks? Let me know which is your favorite. Speaking of my favorites, it's an easy segue, but I got to take it. Becky Menken from Mouse Fan Travel is watching from 38,000 feet. Probably she's as close to the front of the plane. She might even be sitting in front of the pilot. That's how far forward first Becky likes to sit. Thank you for watching from your luxurious pod, wherever you are coming from and wherever you are going to. You are watching from your pod. Kelly is watching from Detroit. David's been watching since 2000 from Indianapolis since 2009. Dude, that is crazy. Thank you very much. I was just at a conference this past week, a podcast conference in Chicago. By the way, quick tangent. Didn't take long to talk about food. I was introduced to something called a breaded steak sandwich from Riccobini's. It changed I had the biggest, stupidest smile on my face. Becky, you've seen this smile before. It was like I discovered fire, and there was nobody else around that I knew that I could sort of share that moment with, which is good because I didn't have to share my steak sandwich with anybody either. It was amazing, but I don't even know where I was going with this. Oh, we were talking about, I was talking about being at the podcast conference last week, and that I've been podcasting for more than 20 years. There's not a lot of us in this space who've been around that long. And then when I said to somebody that I've been broadcasting live video since 2007 and how we used to walk around, you used to walk around on my computer. I used to carry my laptop around Magic Kingdom and the parks with my little 3G card and my wired webcam and my external battery pack. Those were interesting times. Becky, you can't confirm or deny anything you said. I will confirm every single thing that I just said because, hi, you're Becky. Randy Jackson, not of American Idol fame, from the Jacksons in Leawood, Kansas. It's good to see you again. My friend Chuck is watching from Burke, Virginia. Hannah, look at you, Hannah, branding yourself. Hannah Crafted Gifts. I dig it. I've only been to Disneyland once, but I'm lucky to get to Walt Disney World often, and my favorite park is Disney's Animal Kingdom, which, if you happen to listen to this week's show, and my list of my favorite outdoor queues, not one, but two made the list this weekend. And let me see other people's favorites. We got some Disneyland, some Epcots, Magic Kingdoms. My favorite park is Magic Kingdom. Emily Ennis, nice to see you. Some Epcot. Jennifer Subco, nice to see you as well. Jim Rohosky, you've been around since those early days, man. Has pictures of me and a laptop. And Becky said, yes, she posted a pic of us with a laptop box in the clubhouse. I actually linked to it in this week's newsletter for easy reference. Way back the old days of walking around. And then at one point I had this little mini laptop, which made it even easier. It was this tiny little, it was almost like iPad size laptop. So Amy says the Kilimanjaro Safari is awesome. All right, so let's get into it. I have limited time tonight. I hate having to sort of rush, but it won't be rushed. But I have limited time tonight because I have something else that I have to take care of after this with somebody on the West Coast. But this week's podcast was all about my 5 favorite outdoor queues in Walt Disney World, and those that are, in fact, worth the wait. And, for years, waiting in line was sort of the bane of every guest's existence in Walt Disney World, right? It's the thing that you didn't want to do. And over time, I think Disney they continued to improve, as they always do, with not just interactive, not just more interactive cues, but cues that really help to tell the story. And I think from the list that I shared this week, for a lot of these cues, the story actually begins, the attraction begins for me, not when you get on the ride, but when you get into the queue. So I'd love to know from you, 1, have you listened? 2, do you agree or disagree with my list? And 3, what is on your list? What did I miss? What should I have put on my list? So, Amy, Kilimanjaro Safari was one that I thought about. But as I went through the queue virtually in my mind, while the screens help tell the story, it's only because the screens tell the story that you start to understand what is about to happen. So I don't think the queue itself has a lot going on to it. It's obviously well themed. I think there used to be more animals, like live animals, in the queue in some of those smaller penned areas. But it's why I didn't make it's why Kilimanjaro did not make the list. Hannah says, love this week's show. Did you script it or can you improve? Can you improve such? Are you asking if I improv? So for this week, I make bullet point sort of notes that I go off of because I have to try and sort of brain dump my thoughts, at least in terms of the things that I want to cover. So I would talk about the setting and the scenery and the details, and if there's any sort of little Easter eggs in there, but I go off that. I don't like scripts, period. I mean, it's certainly, the My Fives, which I've only been doing for a very short period of time, are really the first times I've ever done shows by myself. Like, obviously I do a lot of these alone. Certainly I have nothing. I have no notes. I have nothing. Like, these are just very much conversational. But when I am doing a show like this, where it's important that I get the details right, I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So I do go through, I spend a lot of time. People ask me, like, how it will normally take me, no matter what show I'm doing, it'll often take me hours of prep time to get ready for it. It is the detail-oriented, very didactic, recovering attorney in me that wants to make sure that I don't make any mistakes, I don't leave anything out, and try and sound relatively is the operative word there, but relatively intelligent there. Haunted Mansion absolutely does count. This is a spoiler for you, obviously, Amy, but Haunted Mansion was the number 1 item I put on my list. Randy Jackson says Tower of Terror. I agree. Pandora, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Okay, so Pandora I thought about as well, but I really was focusing more, and it's why I talked about the outdoor queues, because I was really wanted to focus on the outdoor area. And while I think the outdoor queue of Pandora is an extension of Pandora itself, right? It is very thematic. It's very, story-driven, sort of organic-ish to the flora and fauna that would exist on Pandora. But I think the queue, the inside queue of Flight of Passage, and I am assuming that you're talking about Flight of Passage or even Na'vi River Journey, but it's not until you get inside the bunker and really sort of inside the caves that I think that queue really sort of comes to life and help put the story together. The exterior queue is really just that. They are winding, artificial organic pathways to get you inside, which is why Pandora didn't make the list. Same thing for Mine Train. There are elements of the Mine Train queue that I liked, but I don't think it rose to the level, which is why I felt I needed to sort of justify my answers and why I put those specifically on it. So, yes. Oh, so you did say improv, those description. Claire says, as I was listening to this week's episode, it was interesting to realize that there's really nothing at Epcot that qualifies for consideration for best outdoor queue. Yeah, you're probably right. As I very quickly go through, yeah, because, and I understand it too. There's a few reasons, right? Most 97.3% of the days here in Florida are very hot. You don't want to stand outside. You want to get inside as quickly as possible. I think some of the older attractions, it's why their queues are outside. But yeah, you're right. There's nothing really in Epcot that has any sort of, they're very self-contained, all of the attractions. Yeah, there's nothing in Epcot really at all. So yeah, good observation. So Beatrice, you put Slinky Dog Dash. I very intentionally left Slinky Dog Dash off of my list. I'm going to tell you why. So my experience with Slinky Dog Dash, I remember when they did a preview, and I'm always incredibly grateful and humbled, and it's a privilege to be invited to preview events and things like that, and to be able to go there representing you and for you. It was so hot, and they're never, when it first opened, the exterior queue, as you sort of winds down towards like the entrance and the to the rodeo roundup and that entrance to Toy Story Land, there was no shade. So until you get close to the attraction, that extended queue is very hot. Like, it is very, very hot. And while I love the idea of you being sort of in Andy's backyard, there is this sort of transformation that happens when you walk into Toy Story Land, that you're shrunk down to the size of a toy, and everything sort of reflects that. I did dig the 60s and 70s game nods, not so subtle nods, obviously, that are in the queue, but I think I have PTSD from the heat, and like oppressively. It was so hot. How hot was it? It was hotter than Animal Kingdom. It sounds like I'm telling like a dramatic novel. It was hotter than Disney's Animal Kingdom that morning in Disney's Hollywood Studios. People were dropping like flies, metaphorically speaking. They were dropping like flies. So I don't think, because if you listen to my list, most of them really are on there because of the storytelling. They are the first act. And sometimes I think there was a couple of I referred to this way, that are, I feel like they are 3, sometimes 4 act miniature stories in and of themselves that are told as you make your way through the queue. I think the exterior queue, so a couple people have mentioned Tower of Terror. Tower of Terror to me is very much, I think the first act begins not in the queue. I think the first act begins as you turn and look down Sunset Boulevard, and you see the building, you see some of the billboards, you see that the building and the signage is somewhat decrepit. It's already setting that stage. It's already sort of the visual weenie that's leading you down. And as you get through the stone gates, and as you start to wind through the extended queue, and if you've ever done it before, you really should sort of, if you can, make your way through, because you have to almost imagine what it was supposed to look like near 90 years ago, whatever it is, when the Hollywood Tower Hotel was in its heyday, when it was a beacon for the show business elite. How beautiful that probably looked, and how it sets the mood and the tone before you even get into the interior queue, which obviously really is where that attraction shines as well. Let me see. Jerry Dusenberry could be listening tomorrow morning while you're getting your steps in. Make the walk seem faster. Let me know what you think as you see it. Kyle, good to see you as well. Claire says, it's so cute and clever. I was so giddy the first time I ever walked through it. Which one are you specifically talking about? So Nick says the queue for the Enchanted Tiki Room and any churro cart. So I like the fact, Nick, you are speaking my language, that you look for queues that have some sort of food-related action near it. I think, although you have the audio animatronics in the queue of Tiki Room, it's not. I think I went for things that were more subtle in terms of the storytelling. That's why I didn't put Kilimanjaro on, because it is a video explaining everything. Like Walt used to say, like, don't lay it on with a trowel. Like, let people figure it out. Let them put the pieces together. And I think Expedition Everest, I think Cali River Rapids, I think a lot of those do that by you very clearly but subtly putting those pieces together of the story itself. Paul Hoffman, Rise of the Resistance, same thing. Rise of the Resistance, the queue itself, the pre-show that really begins as you enter into Galaxy's Edge itself, much like it does for Flight of Passage with Pandora. But the star of the queue of Rise of the Resistance is the interior queue, not the exterior queue. And I know it sort of mixes and matches because you go inside, then you go back outside, and there's the X-Wing there. But I tried not to allow the quality of the interior queue carry the exterior queue if it did not stand alone on its own merits. And I think Haunted Mansion, Tower of Terror, Little Mermaid, Expedition Everest, and Cali River Rapids, I think the queues stand on their own from purely the outside portion, which is why those made the list. Heather says Jungle Cruise and Safari, same thing, right? We talked about the Safari. Jungle Cruise too, and I love the Jungle Cruise, and I love the attraction, but especially here on the Walt Disney World side, other than the overhead audio radio broadcasts, the dock, sort of the boathouse, not that boathouse, but sort of the dock side covering, other than a little bit of stuff in the cages, there's not a ton of storytelling that's happening here that would have bumped the ones that I put on my list off. Sheldon says, I know this about Walt Disney World, but I love the new queue for Haunted Mansion and Disneyland, which I'm really looking forward to seeing in a few weeks. We'll get to that. I don't want to get too far ahead. Stay tuned. I will have more information. Becky says he won't let me have notes or prep. I used to, but you didn't have notes or prep anyway. So now and I don't, just so you know, for the email shows, neither one of us prep. I'm literally like I'm looking over and reaching into the inbox. I'm just scrolling through, excuse me, and I'll find a headline or a first couple, like a subject line, or I'll quickly skim as Becky's rambling to try and find the next one. And that's how we pick them. So the answers that you're getting are completely off the cuff, completely authentic. And Becky, if you would think for a second, what that's really doing is making you look better, because don't you want your travel agent to not have to worry about planning and prepping, but for you to have all of that knowledge off the top of your head is indicative of just how smart, experienced, talented, and caring you and your agents really are. If my mic wasn't so expensive, I would drop it on the floor. Boom. You try and help somebody, and that's what they give you. Ma'am, I just want notes. No, you don't get notes because we don't get to prepare ahead of time. I don't know why that was my Becky impression. Has anybody mentioned it's tough to be a bug? I don't think so. And Jason, same thing. It's interesting. I thought about the Tree of Life, and I thought about winding through, especially when you go through the extended queue and you get to see so many of the carved animals in the Tree of Life trunk that you would not get to see otherwise. But again, like, I appreciate it for the artistry of it, but the Tree of Life itself doesn't, I don't think the exterior carvings on the Tree of Life necessarily connect to the show that's going on inside. And I'll prove that by saying the Tree of Life exterior queue is not going to change at all when the Zootopia attraction opens inside. So they are relatively disconnected. The Tree of Life queue is really more of a vehicle to get you inside, and that's where the queue sort of begins for It's Tough to Be a Bug. That's where it's going to begin for Zootopia, and that is why I left it off my list. Big Thunder Mountain, Kelly. Big Thunder Mountain was an honorable mention. So let me see if I can pull up my notes very quickly because I did have a couple of QUEUE. I did have a couple of honorable mentions. Big Thunder Mountain was on there, and there was one other one I had too. So I had Big Thunder Mountain, and Kilimanjaro Safari was off very quickly. Slinky Dog never had a chance. I'm sorry, Slinky Dog. I'm just. But even in Magic Kingdom, like Dumbo the Flying Elephant, great indoor queue, no real remarkable outdoor queue. And then even if it's sort of as you go through, there's really not a lot in. There's not a lot that would even. Smuggler's Run. There's indoor and outdoor, but the outdoor areas are themed more as an extension of Batuu. And yes, some of the queue is open to the outside, and you can see the Falcon. But again, the star there is the inside queue. Do you miss most queues when you use the Lightning Lane? Absolutely, and it's why I said either in my introduction or maybe even in the title, it's why they are worth the wait and why you should not get Lightning Lanes at least once, so you get the full overall experience. Mark says the last place is Journey into Imagination with Figment, where 99.99, I mean, on the very, very rare occasions that there's a line for that attraction, which I don't think is going to be here for very much longer. I know I've been saying it for years. I mean, the whole queue is inside, which, again, the weather being in Florida what it is, I understand and very much appreciate. Hannah says favorite indoor queues. I think I did a show about, I think Tim and I did a show about our top 10 queues in Walt Disney World. And if we didn't, top 10 things we're to wait online for. Yes. So, okay, it's been a while. It's back to show number 132 from 2009. When I say 2009, I'm like, oh, it was a couple years ago. Oh, no. 2009 was not 2009 was 16 years ago, which is wild. I've never really repeated a show, but because times and queues and attractions have changed, I don't even know what is on that list. I bet you Haunted Mansion was on that list because I did not necessarily exclude any. But yeah, back on show 132, and maybe I'll have to revisit that topic once again. Kevin Blair says he agrees with me. Everest is great for details. A lot to keep you busy with Jungle Cruise as well. I think other than that small little desk, and even in the extended queue, I mean, there's some stuff on the walls, but I don't think from a storytelling perspective, you get a lot from that as opposed to things like Everest and Cali. And I think I wanted to really include Cali on there because I think so many guests just don't ride it for one reason. They don't want to get wet. They're not a flume people. It's too cold. It's too hot, whatever it is. And I think that there's gold in there. There are golden details. And the fact that the queue and the music and the atmosphere, it changes. That is what I mean. I think Cali may be the best example of a queue that not only advances the story, but the story advances in the queue itself. Because if you pay very close attention, you can really see the subtle changes, not just in the music, not just in the narration, but the dichotomy between what they're telling you you're going to experience versus what you see, which some of the burned out forests and things like that. Yes, Becky, it does have to be a Walt Disney World because the name of this episode was the top 10 outdoor queues in Walt Disney World. Now, that does not mean that I cannot do a show about the top 10 queues worldwide. If only there was anybody who could speak to that. We can do the top 10 queues because I think we did the best attractions worldwide. Maybe it was a top 10. I don't know. But I know that we did. I think, Becky, you were on that show. I don't remember what I called it, so I can't even look it up. But I know we did like the best of the best. Maybe that's what it was. Like a best of the best attractions worldwide. Let's see if I do a search that way and see if I can. Oops. Yes, I have multiple computers like going here all at once. And my production team, when I do live stuff, is it is me, and it is just me. So, but I'm almost sure best of the best. I'm pretty sure that's what we called it. I don't know, but we did a lot of best of the best shows. I can't look right now. Kira, that's a great. Oh gosh, that's really smart. The only thing I think of for Epcot is Canada's film. Back in the day when the lines were much longer, you'd stand near the waterfalls. Yeah, that's right. You don't get to normally you would not get to see and experience that waterfall on the way in, only on the way out. So yeah, that's a really good one. I didn't even think about that. Very, very smart. Vero Mike's good to see you. Everest Queue is so detailed. Yeah, there's great stuff in the Everest Queue. And actually, when they first opened Expedition Everest, again, Expedition Everest, you are going through different buildings along the way as you're getting ready for your journey. Like you're buying your tickets, then you're buying your gear. When you go into the gear shop, and there's all the authentic Himalayan and Tibetan climbing gear that they sourced from those locations and brought them in. You sort of walk in and then you walk sort of around, you make a left and then you make a sharp right until you get to the other part of the outdoor queue. There was a little hidden Yeti, which I'm not sure is still in there, but when it first opened, in the interest of being very authentic, again, this is why I tell you to look up. If you would have looked up in the ceilings and you had to sort of be standing in the right spot, there was some gear that was hanging from the roof. This is a true story. And some of the stuff that was hanging, look, you're trekking for a long time. You're going to be up on the mountain for a long time. There were no cell phones probably, early on all the time. So you need a little something to read. And there was a variety of different magazines. You probably know where I'm going with this. There was a variety of different magazines that you could purchase for your time, your lonely time up there on the mountain. And yes, there were some, and there was nothing graphic that you could see from the outside, but you could tell very clearly that these were adult-oriented magazines, which probably were sold, and that's where they got them from. They were sold it probably gets very lonely and cold up on those mountains. Let's not make it weird. But yeah, so they, for a little time, when Expedition Everest first opened, if you looked in and again, there's still stuff hanging from the ceiling now, but if you looked at the wares that were available for sale hanging from the ceiling, there were some 18 and over magazines, which are no longer there. So, yes, they definitely need more umbrellas. For Slinky Dog. And I think they have put them out there. Joining the Flight of Passage exterior queue, it's a long wait when, and remember, and certainly during the busier times of year, it still gets like that. But when Flight of Passage first opened and you were looking at 3-4 plus hour waits, that exterior queue was used extensively. Amy says, for me, it's about Small World, looking out to Peter Pan and the clocks. Again, Small World, the exterior queue, while it's open, is technically, I didn't feel like it's exterior. There is an exterior queue in Disneyland, but I didn't feel it rose to the level in Walt Disney World. Tim Moore says, do the best attraction queues have to be for attractions? I like the Adventureland spring roll cart because it has the cheeseburger spring rolls at the end of the queue. Tim, we just bonded because I too believe that many of the attractions are not things that you necessarily find on the maps under attractions. They are in fact listed under dining. I think the cheeseburgers, God, now I haven't had a cheeseburger spring roll in so long. Magic Kingdom is so close, yet so far away. I know it is a locals problem. Let's see. The outside queue for the old dinosaur ride with the prehistoric jungle was really cool. I wonder if the new Oh, so there is a little bit of again, dinosaur, may it soon rest in peace. There is an extended queue, which I rode not very long ago. My son has always loved dinosaur. He thought it was like, well, let me go before they announced the closing date. We were not alone, and we did go in the extended queue. But other than the greenery and some almost like museum like dinosaur hints, there really wasn't a lot there. It was more switchbacks than it was anything. So you see where for me what I was looking for were details, storytelling, interactivity, but it had to be specifically in the outdoor section of the queue. Isn't Swiss Family Robinson just an outdoor queue? No, because I think the queue is the attraction, right? I think as you are walking, as soon as you pass the turnstiles, which are immediately as soon, they still have the physical. They think they still have physical turnstiles there. It's been that long. The attraction starts, right? So there is no queue. The queue for the Swiss Family Treehouse is you walking towards the treehouse. I don't think there really is a queue for it. So it starts like many of these things, like Tower Terror. It starts as you approach the tree, but not as you enter into the queue area. Mandy says favorite outdoor queue is the Haunted Mansion, even on a hot day. Yeah, Becky, I just don't think Jungle Cruise hits it. Ashley says it's probably a little lame, but I love the people. So I love the People Mover. I don't love when there's a line at the People Mover, because it's always been that thing that you could just walk right up to, and the queue really was the the escalator track that which makes me feel when I'm on there, I'm like, oh, this is sort of like a treadmill. Like I feel like I'm on a treadmill without the nonsense of all the actual exercise. So it's like a little bit of like it's a workout as you get to the TT. That's how my mind works. Love all the details. What about the queue for Humunga Cowabunga? So I didn't think about the water parks in this. I really thought about attractions specifically in the parks, and actually it's been a long, long time since I've been there. Amy, same thing. Pirates of the Caribbean. It does start a little bit on the outside. Do you remember years ago there was an exterior portion? I mean, it's covered, but there was that. I don't think it's still there. There was that little almost alcove that had the facades of like house fronts from the village, but I still don't think. Again, I don't think that. I think the queue starts when you get inside. This is what was challenging about this, was not being influenced or impacted by the interior queue, but only by the exterior. Claire says, I love all five that you picked, but if I could add one more, it would be Tiana's Bayou Adventure. The radio station is a great touch. I agree. And it's one of those things, it's like Jungle Cruise, right? So the overhead narration is part of it. That long exterior queue, if you take these queues by themselves, right, put them in the four corners of their own boxes, the Haunted Mansion queue stands on its own. Everest, Cali, Tower, I think they stand on their own for placemaking, storytelling, details, even Little Mermaid, levels of interactivity, thematic design, that first act towards what you see. A lot of the queues that we're mentioning, I don't feel rise to that level. The exterior queue for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is not enough for me to compare and knock one of the other ones off. That I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just saying it was just my opinion. Becky says she's just being nice to me because we're about to be together for a week. It's technically months. I was trying to schedule something the other day, and I was going through my calendar, and I'm like, Becky, no, Becky time. No, it's Becky time. No, it's Becky time. No, well, and yeah, even Friday, it's Becky time. So But yes, this is going to be a true test of not our partnership, but our friendship. Can we go the entire summer without? We should do like a little. We should do the over under. How long can we go before we won't murder? We're gonna have so much fun. We're gonna have so much fun. We're gonna get to that in a second. Let's quickly go. Let me quickly go through. Jason, this is a. I didn't think about this. Does the train station for the Walt Disney World Railroad count? I love reading about the railroad history. I think that you could. I think that you could make an argument for the train station. Again, while most of it, especially from Main Street USA, takes place inside, I think the storytelling outside of Storybook Circus is really well done. But I'm not sure I would bump something off of. I'm not sure I'd bump something off of my list. Jason, this is great. One of my absolute favorites was the backlot tour at Disney's Hollywood Studios, starting with the splash tank, and then moving into the studios before boarding the train. Really, really good pull. I didn't even think about that, sort of extinct cues, but I too love that. I never got to be on the boat with the explosions and the water and like be part of that interactive show that was outside. But that's a great idea. Maureen says Journey of Water. I think Journey of Water, there is no queue because the queue is the attraction and vice versa. So it's why I just didn't think it qualified. There's no sort of demarcation between where the queue ends and where the attraction really begins. Andrew Mylan says Haunted Mansion has the best queue, hands down. Love the backstory and the different headstones. It's why I put it first. I didn't count down on this list. I read it just as I brain dumped it. As I was going through my list, I'm like, what came to mind first? And I agree. And I think that there's so many layers to the Haunted Mansion queue, both from placemaking, storytelling, the little murder mystery game, the enhancements that they had, the tributes to like to the Black Cat, which was originally supposed to be, and the Raven, like the host of the Haunted Mansion, references to the Imagineers, the game that you can play with. I didn't even talk about this, with the books that go in and out, the Spectre Vision, and being able to sort of make contact in that. So even I didn't even talk about this. One of my favorite little details in the queue is not the ring. Go find the doggy door. See if you can find the doggy door. There's a gate that has a tiny little dog. It's not marked, but you're like, oh, like the gravedigger actually makes sure like there's a little door for his little dog. I like the Haunted Mansion I think the Haunted Mansion queue was great on its own. Plus, the Haunted Mansion queue makes reference to like storylines that were not ever fully flushed out, right? The Sea Captain, which at first you could only see reference to the Sea Captain in the interior queue in one of the changing portraits. There's an extension of that now in the Haunted Mansion parlor on the Disney Treasure and soon the Disney Destiny. We'll get to that too. All right, let me quickly go through and see if there's any more that I haven't hit as yet. Crush's Coaster in Paris. Yeah, Crush's Coaster in Paris is great. More interior than exterior, but yes, we will have to do. So yeah, Becky, somebody remind me. We will have to do the best queues worldwide. And obviously Becky will now be able to have a much more, we will do the research that now we're justifying the trip. We're doing the research that needs to be done so we can speak to this more fully. And there's a really, really, really good chance that Mystic Manor is going to make this list. James says, I believe Tron currently is one of the best outdoor queues. So visually, because you get to see the attraction in action, the music sets the tone. At night, it's obviously exponentially better than during the day. But purely taking the exterior portion, the part that is outside, there's nothing about that starts to involve or introduce you to the story itself. again, the story of what is happening in Tron is a little murky at best, but you don't care because it's just you're doing it for the thrill of the attraction. But I don't think that, because two, the queue for Tron, and just, you can sort of just go and stand under the attraction and not be in the queue. The queue doesn't start until you get much closer to the when you enter the interior portion. So I don't know. I think I can very easily argue that off of my list. I love the queue for Cali River portion of Everest. There you go in and out. Yes, Lisa Noel Glasser. I'm not saying that those were on my list. Clearly, she hasn't listened. But you may or may not be. On the rare occasion that you are correct, today might be one of those actual days. See, Becky, everybody forgets about Cali. Everybody forgets about Cali River Rapids, and that's why I want to, you can go through the whole queue and then chicken exit out. You do not need to ride the attraction. So go through for the queue. If you're having just a nice day at Disney's Animal Kingdom where you go there early, hit Cali first. If you're not worried about trying to hit Cali first and just meander your way through that queue. I have an idea for something. I have to write this down. Sometimes I'll still use old school post-its. Okay. Is the stretch room part of the queue or is the beginning of the attraction? So I think as queue is defined, I think the queue for the Haunted Mansion, I think there's two queues for the Haunted Mansion. I think there's two queues. Let's talk it out. There's the exterior queue, which is the de facto definition of what a queue is. I think when you go into the foyer and then you go into the stretching room and you're sort of mingled in mass, I think you're out of the queue. And then I think you enter that small queue again once you are in the hallway where you enter your Doom Buggy. So there are two queues. There is an exterior queue and there's a separate interior queue that is separated by what happens in the foyer, the fireplace room, the changing portrait room, and the stretching room, and then you enter that second queue. I could argue that. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. I just made that up, but I think that totally works. Heather says, I know we're talking about Walt Disney World, but the queue for Mater's Junkyard Jamboree at DCA is so cute with Mater's costumes and the hubcap hidden Mickey. I am not saying that Becky Mankin's ringtone may or may not, Becky and I, that was some of the most fun that we ever had riding that for the first time. This is Becky's. So that's, yes, whenever on those wonderfully rare occasions where Becky calls, that's, so if you ever hear my phone ringing, that's Becky. So Mark, I think we were just talking about that. I think the Swift Swimley Treehouse, I think the queue is the attraction. I don't think there is a queue. Unless there's a rare occasion where you're lining up in Adventureland proper before you get to the turnstile. But I don't consider that queue. I just consider that an extension because the attraction begins when you enter the queue. I like the Pooh queue, kind of covered though. My daughter would play in that treehouse all day long. Yeah, I mean, I've always loved the treehouse for years. I used to love taking people into the treehouse just to see the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea sub. It's probably been a decade since I've done that. I wonder if it's even there still and looks the same way. I think, that slight patina green outline of the sub may have deteriorated a little bit, but I'd be curious to go back and see. Yeah, Flight of Passage, Sean, I think I said, I think it really, the exterior queue is just the winding pathways. I don't think the story really begins until you are inside. Uh, 35-minute battle with my son to get him into bed. So did I mention poo? I did. We did just talk about poo. Another great topic would be the 5 best attraction exits. I don't want to waste time with what you watching me think, but as many exits enter you into a gift shop. So I'd have to think on that. The 5 best attraction exits. How many attractions dump you into a restaurant? Because those would be instant winners. I don't know. I would have to think about that. I don't know. Haunted Mansion exit, yeah. Somebody send me that and remind me, because I'll forget probably very quickly. Worst attraction exit is the 5-mile long Space Mountain. I used to love the exit to Space Mountain. I think the exit to Space Mountain used to be great. But yeah, it has changed. I think not as good. And when I just rode, I have to think about this now, because I rode Space Mountain. I rode Spaceship Earth recently, and at one point that post-show area. So maybe it's post shows and exits. And I have to sort of think now, how many attractions still have a post-show area where there's any sort of substance to it? I'll have to think about that. Because I think now remember, Spaceship Earth was supposed to get a major overhaul 5-6 years ago. It was planned, it was closed, it reopened, it never got it. So if you go through, I don't want to get off too far on a tangent, but if you go through the exit of Spaceship Earth now, it feels very dated. It feels borderline almost abandoned-ish. Journey into Imagination, I'm looking at you. That, to me, puts the writing on the wall that something that Spaceship Earth is finally going to get its update. Journey into Imagination is finally going to get its update. I'm only going to say this. This is a separate conversation for a separate day. I think, I hope, I wish, I believe in my heart of hearts that Disney has a massive ace up their sleeve that they have not even hinted to as yet. What I mean by that is, and just to use, my son likes to say this, follow me around the room with this. I think we got some great announcements, exciting stuff coming at D23. In some ways controversial. Let's not go down the road of Tom Sawyer Island versus Cars. However, I think in light of what is going on down the street and the scale, dare I say the epic size of what is going on down the street, it's very hard to say, yes, Cars is coming, but in a few years. Yes, Villains is coming, but in a few years. These major improvements, enhancements, additions that are coming so far, I still don't think that they rise to the level of building a new park like that. And there's a lot of people talking about what's happening down at Universal. There's a lot of people, I think, who are going to change the way they are vacationing at Walt Disney World because of Universal. I think the folks that used to come to Walt Disney World for 5 days and would either spend all 5 days here, or they'd stay on property for 5 days and spend a day at Universal. I think that now is going to shift. I think some folks will go, hey, let's go spend 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights of our vacation there, because we want to not just go to Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios, but obviously we want to go to Epic Universe, and there's new hotels. So I don't think it would be reactionary. I think this has been in the chamber for a while, and I'm trying to remember that there was a certain word that Bob Iger and Josh were using that it's escaping me right now when they were talking about what is coming. I think, I hope, because I think they need, and it's the way the theme park industry always goes. One place announces something, the next comes after. One announces price increases, the next comes after. It's just the game that is played. The people that benefit are you and I, right? Because all of the parks are improving. They are leveling up the level of guest expectations, the use of technology, the storytelling, etc. So I think what's happening down the street is a good thing for everybody, but I also think that there should be, has to be, is something that is coming from Disney, and it's just a matter of timing. There is a strategy. Obviously, they are way smarter than I am. There's a strategy that must be in place. I'm curious to see what is coming next, and we can talk about this on another show at another time. Heather, Heather loves Becky's ringtone. Okay, so it looks like a lot of it looks like the exit idea might have legs. In its heyday, Claire, without a doubt, in its heyday, the Figment exit was fantastic. The Figment exit was the best post show. I was very sad when that area upstairs closed, and then eventually became the DVC lounge. So the old world, the bird and the robot at the original test track. Oh no, sorry, World of Motion. Before the World of Motion post show became basically a car dealership, which it worked. Like, and I don't have the statistic in front of me. It's in one of my books. It was brilliant. Money brilliantly well spent by General Motors sponsoring that, because the awareness and the trust of the General Motors brand, because you were getting dumped out of this wonderful fun attraction and it was a showcase for all their brand new vehicles. Like, there was this huge double-digit increase in revenue from GM after they opened World of Motion. So I missed the phone booth. I missed the giant phone booth at the end of, early on, Epcot used to have because really, if you think about it, early days of Epcot, Innoventions was really the post-show area for all the attractions in Future World. They all had something that tied into each of the attractions. So that was the ultimate post-show. It was not connected to the attraction itself, but they were connected in terms of certain things. So the AT&T World Key service was a direct connection to Spaceship Earth. Some of the other exhibits and things that they had in there were directly connected to, Universe of Energy, etc. The Mission Space show. Token fanboy. I haven't been to Mission Space post-show area in ages. I assume they still play the game, right? Because remember, you used to play the game on the big screens, but you could also play with people at home. There was a way for people to do stuff, and then you could text pictures from the post-show area to people at home. But yeah, I haven't been in a long time. I get very distracted by the food at Epcot, and I don't necessarily ride a lot of attractions. Let me see. Let me quickly go through. Jason still wants his Cherry Tree Lane in the UK. I'm not disagreeing with you, but you can't. Again, I don't want this to be a conversation about Walt Disney World versus Universal or Epic, but you can't open up Cherry Tree Lane when Burke and Dark Universe and Nintendoville and all these things and Harry Potter. You can't open up that and be like, but look, we have Cherry Tree Lane. You can't. You can't. You need something that is going to rise to that level. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what it's going to be. I think if they were planning live action Snow White Land, they should probably rethink that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it looks like, but I'm very curious to see what is happening down the street. So James says, I always look at it this way. It makes Orlando the vacation destination. I want to go to that area rather than anywhere else. It is. It's first of all, it's great for Orlando, and it's great for guests visiting Orlando. So Figment's post-show area was an attraction in itself. When the queue was long, we'd skip the ride, just walk into the exit area. I agree, because you could enter from the gift shop and then just walk and enjoy the post-show. You can go over to the Magic Eye Theater if you wanted to do that. Is the Figment meet and greet still there? I'm not a big character guy, so I don't even know. But yeah, you can go and watch. I used to love watching Captain EO, but Emily does not want to go to Halloween Horror Nights. Emily, I love Halloween Horror Nights. If only there was somebody. I didn't go last year. If only there was anybody who would go with me to Halloween Horror Nights. I went a few years ago with some friends, but they never invited me back. So maybe that's a me problem. So let me see. When it was Communicore, it was amazing. Right, I'm sorry. I said intervention. It was Communicore. Mike DeCutis, good to see you. The meet and greet is still there. Yeah, I've never met Big Figment. No, I've never met like giant size Figment. So Claire says, I'm usually positive, but I'm just tired of waiting for the next big thing at Disney. Again, we got a lot of exciting announcements at D23, but we as guests and fans, when we see other things happening elsewhere and happening pretty quickly, relatively speaking, it does become a what have you done for me lately? Which I almost started singing the Janet Jackson song, but I won't. Yeah, I think that's where fans are, is what have you done for late? Don't tell me about what's coming in 5 years. And again, there's a lot of reasons why, and I understand and can, I'm very sympathetic to it. But yeah, I think things. Sharon says Figzilla. Yeah, I have not met Figzilla. So when is D23? So Destination D23 is this August 19th? I had a call about this today. August 29th is Destination D in Walt Disney World. I just put an article up on the WDW Radio site. Tickets are going on sale on April 14th. So you've got 5 days before you can go and order your tickets. So anyway, before I forget, and before we go for the evening, a couple of things very quickly. One, when we're done tonight, if you have been paying attention and following along, if you haven't watched yet, put your little footy pajamas on, get yourself a little bevy, a little cozy little blanket, your snack of choice. Popcorn works, Doritos work, if you're an ice cream guy or gal. And please, go turn on Daredevil. Go turn on Daredevil. Last night's episode, so good. This is not about Daredevil, the person in costume. It is such a phenomenal character-driven story, and the parallels and dichotomy between Kingpin and Wilson Fisk and Matt Murdock and Daredevil and their interrelationship is just, and the ending, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but you want to talk about really good things that Disney and Marvel is doing? Daredevil, I am looking at you. Where's my Daredevil stuff? It's like my little Daredevil shrine area back here, which you can't see. Hannah says, I'm catching up on Daredevil. Hannah, it's so good. It is so, maybe I'll fall asleep whenever I eventually get to sleep tonight. And I don't want to watch it again because there's so much spectacular subtlety, especially in the performances. And Vincent D'Onofrio should just win everything that they can give him. because of how good he is in his eyes, in his mouth. Watch the twitching of his fingers. Um, he is this monster child, and he just portrays that so incredibly well. There's a little bit of like a sympathetic side to him, and then there's this horrific, like brutal, not just physically brutal, but just mentally and emotionally brutal side to him as well. Just so good. So I don't want it to end. I don't want it to end. I actually had a call with somebody late last night. I was giving an interview, we're talking about, and the Daredevil cast was supposed to be at a con here in Orlando, and I'm like, I'm not really the like lineup for like pictures and autograph things, but they were going to be here, and I was like, it is not that far away, and I dig me a good con. And then they had to cancel because they were shooting season 2 right now. And then he's like, there's this con up in Seattle, and they're going to be there. And I was like, hello. We'll see. I hope, I would love if they came back to New York Comic Con again this summer. So, but let's talk about things that are happening, not things that are not or are potentially happening, because next week is going to be a big week for us, because we're taking a trip. We're taking a trip together. Becky, I'm not just talking to you. I'm talking to you, everybody else. 2 things are happening all in the same week. The timing fortunately worked out well. On Monday, I am going to be getting a sneak preview of the Disney Destiny. I am not going to tell you where I am going, but I am going somewhere, or let us taste. This is part of my hope. But follow along on my Instagram on Monday. Starting early in the day, I'm going to be sharing stories and reels and posts, and maybe even go live. And I think just to keep it consistent, I would go live maybe on Instagram, because it's not going to be a very long experience, whatever and wherever it is going to be. If you have questions about the Destiny, if there's something that you want to know, if there's something you'd want me to ask any of the folks, please let me know. You can email me, text me, tweet me. Actually, I don't really get on Twitter that much, but whatever it is, and I will try and get those answers for you. From the Destiny, I literally am getting off a ship. I'll just leave it at that. I'm getting off a ship. I'm going right to the airport and to the aforementioned Seattle to join one Becky Mencken as we head on out to Tokyo. We are doing a panel at Star Wars Celebration in Tokyo, Japan. So we are going to be at Star Wars Celebration, and again, I'll be sharing. So keep your notifications turned on Instagram. Click the little bell up in the upper right corner. Like, click on my profile, click on the little bell, turn notifications, because I don't know what or we're going to be showing. Same thing from Star Wars Celebration. I'm going to be sharing as much as I can, both from Star Wars Celebration as well as from Tokyo, and a little place we like to call Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Sea. I am just, right now, this is it. This is the moment I'm starting to get giddy with excitement. So definitely stay tuned. I am going to have a lot to share. Somebody says I lost audio. No, it might just be lagging. If I could only meet one, would it be Kingpin or Daredevil? Oh, gosh. That's a great question, Hannah. Because Charlie Cox is Daredevil, right? He is the guy. Daredevil's my guy. The blind, Catholic, recovering attorney. But Vincent D'Onofrio is such a powerful actor. I don't like that question. I don't like that question because I don't like having to. Choose. So I see that some of you are having some lagging. Yeah, internet. Sorry, it's not you, it's me. Clearly. So a couple other quick things. We are talking about Daredevil over in the spoiler support group over at wdwradio.com/spoilers. That is the place to go if you want to share anything spoiler-ish. Just remember that if you join the group, be very careful, because if you have not been caught up, you might pop in there and see something that's you did not necessarily expect. Also, don't forget that my audio guides to Walt Disney World are now available as a separate free podcast. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I uploaded one of the tours. I promise you I'll get one up tomorrow or Friday before I leave. What else? I'm sure I'm forgetting something else. What else? Listen, whether you are coming out for Destination D23, whether you're joining us on one of our group adventures, or you're just planning your next vacation anywhere, Becky and her amazing team of talented advisors can help you all at no cost to you over at mousefantravel.com. Huge thanks to all the members of the WDW Radio Nation. If you are a platinum member, stay tuned. There's a little box, not so little box, coming your way. If you haven't gotten it already, it'll be there in the next couple of days. It took me longer than expected because of some issues to curate all of these items, but I think you are going to dig your little treasure chest, as it were, of stuff that is coming. And I feel like there's something else. Oh, yes, I know I'm forgetting something else. Wait, where is it? My tickets for my Momentum Weekend Workshop in Walt Disney World are now available. You can still take advantage of my $200 off super duper early bird special. I just announced, if you are on our list, I just announced 2 of our speakers. I'm going to have more announcements coming soon. One is Gwendolyn Rogers, the founder of the Cake Bake Shop, who she single-handedly made me a sweets guy, and former Walt Disney Imagineer Jason Sorrell, who is going to be able to talk about using storytelling. And oh, by the way, Jason not only worked for Walt Disney World, but also worked at Universal. So he has a very wide scope of knowledge and experience in the parks, including on some of the things that we talked about today in that place down the street. And then we've got some other amazing speakers coming. We are already more than 50% sold out. So if you're interested in coming, get your ticket now. It is the lowest price it is going to be, and get them before the event sells out every single year. So please go and check it out and get your tickets now. Let's see. And if you're not ready for Momentum yet, that's okay. I'm going to teach you how to launch your dream business, turn what you love into what you do in just 5 days. Very simple course that's sent to you via email that is only $7. Again, you can find out more by visiting LouMongello.com. And if you're looking for a speaker for your event, conference, or for your school, I'll have to find out ways that I can work with you as well. Again, don't forget about our Destiny Cruise next year, February 9th through the 14th. You can visit mousefantravel.com for the aforementioned free, no obligation quote. And later on this year, we also have room on our Seine River Cruise in September. I love river cruise. As much as I love ocean cruising, I love river cruising as well. Again, you can find out more by visiting www.com/Seine25. And I think that's it. I think we covered all. Always a lot of fun. Wednesday really is my favorite night of the week. I know I'm a crazy person. Like I used to say, like Monday was my favorite day because like I loved like the excitement and the opportunity that the new work week holds. I know that sounds like I'm an absolute lunatic, but it's true. But Wednesday is my favorite because it is the night that I get to spend with you, my friend. And although I can't see you, I can't hear you, I appreciate the fact that you are here. You put a smile on my face. You give me this incredible energy, and just I have so much gratitude to and for you. And if there's ever any way that I can help you, please reach out and let me know. I love you. Wait, there it is. I love you and appreciate you. Come on, fireworks. Baby, you're a firework. Let's go. There you go. So until next time, have a great week.